Of university students will be allowed back on campus as part of a phased reintroduction of classes. But there are conditions dictating which students will make it into this first group. Higher Education Minister Blade Nzimande saying that government is trying to strike a balance between saving lives and rescuing the 2020 academic year.
Yeah, so let's speak to his deputy now, Buti Manamela, who visited several tertiary institutions to monitor the state of readiness for the reopening of these tertiary institutions. He joins us now to speak to us a bit more about possibly salvaging the 2020 academic year. Mr. Manamela, thanks very much for your time and welcome to the AM report. So perhaps let's just start there about how hopeful the department still is with salvaging the academic year.
Well, if we were not hopeful, we would not be doing anything about it. I must say that we started working on the plan sometime in March when the minister put in place a task team, which I chair, whose main objective is to engage with stakeholders on the strategy of the post-school education and training sector in responding to COVID-19. And part of the things that we've been looking at has been the potential for reopening of universities and TVET colleges and community colleges and what measures need to take place, but also the kind of business continuity models that universities had, and TVET colleges had put in place, in the interim. And therefore, most universities have started putting in place measures to ensure that there is cleaning that takes place, sanitation that takes place. Most, universities and colleges have been procuring personal protection equipment, sanitizers. They've been identifying self-isolation rooms. They've been preparing medical facilities on campus. They've also been ensuring that they procure masks for students, in order to ensure that when students get back, we're ready to hit the ground running. Now, the 33% came as a result of our intention to save lives, yes, but also to comply with protocols as determined in consultation with the Department of Health and the Center for, the Institute for the Control of Diseases. And this is in order for us to maintain social distancing, but also ensure that we save the academic year. And then this 33% will mainly be, students who are already there, who couldn't get back home, international students, clinical and medical sciences students, students who are completing their degrees or diplomas or N certificates, students who are in far-flung areas, who do not have access to connectivity, data, or devices, who needs to get back into campuses. And so, in the visits that I've done to close to 6 institutions, the minister also went to 1 institution yesterday. And in that visit, we all agree that with the institutions that we've seen and also with the reports that we've received as a department, most, if not all, universities and TVET colleges are ready to begin to welcome students, some from today onwards, some in a phased-in approach, and most of them have in place the necessary measures as required by the Department of Health for them to be able to operate. We are not going to be compromising. We understand that, thousands of students are anxious. Some of them, are uncertain about what the future looks like. But we want to assure them that even if you're not part of the 33% that's getting back into campus in this first phase of phasing in of students back into institutions of higher learning, you will be given the support by your university, but also by the department. As the minister announced yesterday, most students who have not received their devices or data will be given those as soon as we finalize the tender to distribute all of those. So essentially, we're making sure that no student is left behind. But even after all of these interventions, once we return to level 1 lockdown, the institutions will be working towards ensuring that we fully welcome all students on campus, introduce boot camps, introduce catch-up programs, ensure that all students, before they sit for their final examinations, they would have been better prepared and equipped in order to ensure that they progress to the following year.
So that was actually my next question to you, Mr. Manamela. You know, what happens if we don't manage to be prepared enough to sit for our final year of exams, whichever year of study I'm in? Are you saying that the hope is that students will progress next year to wherever they would have been had COVID-19 not happened?
Well, yes, students will progress, but they will progress obviously after writing an assessment. There is continuous assessment taking place in most of our universities through various e-learning platforms, and those students who do not have an opportunity, we've gotten assurances from universities that they will be given those kind of opportunities. What we don't want to compromise is the lives of students, and this is very, very crucial. Now, so part of the scenario planning, which the minister spoke quite extensively about, which most universities and TVET colleges have gone through, is to go to the extent of stretching the academic year, some to January, February next year, and all of that. And I think what is important is that we're relying on the science, that is the scientific advisors, the Department of Health, the National Command Council that is led by the President, to determine which phases are we going to ensure that we let students back on campuses. But what we can assure students and parents at home is that those students who have registered for whatever year of study for this year, those students will be given an opportunity to sit for their examinations and to ensure that they progress into the next day. It's also in our interest. Remember, the state funds, the majority of students who go to TVET colleges and to universities and to community colleges. Secondly,